Never mind.
Yep, we're recording it for the regulars. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the wasmCloud Wednesday community stream for March 8th. We have a pretty fun agenda for you today. So let me go ahead and share it, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So taking a look at I had the wrong one. Taking a look at what we have on deck today. Our first thing is actually going to be a demo and a little bit of a code/write architecture overview from Taylor. Going to be going through some of the wasmCloud Application Deployment Manager, or WADM, the Rust implementation, processing events and commands. Then we're going to go into, again, some of the work that Taylor's been putting together around some GitHub projects in the open source organization. Just want to make sure that we are keeping all those tasks organized, and it's open for everybody to go and look at, see what we're working on and what's on the roadmap. And then going to throw it over to Roman talking about the implementation he's been working on for a wasmCloud host. So I won't blabber any longer about the agenda. I'd rather just get into it. So Taylor, I'm going to go ahead and throw it off to you.
Sweet. Let's see if I've got the power. Oh yeah, now Brooks just gave me the power. Okay, let me go ahead and share. I'm actually going to share. I'm going to share my whole screen. Sorry for the quick infinity stuff. I am on just laptop today. So let's go ahead and share. And we have the wonderful thing of WDAM. So what I'm going to go ahead and demo what we've put together is Kevin, when I first put this RFC, suggested we try out an architecture here where it looks like this. I'm going to eventually put together a whole diagram of how this is all working once we've finished up some of the other pieces. But what happens is we're thinking, how can we spin up anything that can work from 1 to any number of WDAM processes. So what we decided to do was a streaming architecture, and we put that all together where it comes in and it says, okay, I have a bunch of events coming in being read into a NAT stream, and then we have processes that read them off one at a time, depending on the lattice that they're coming from. And then same thing with commands. It emits commands, and those commands are handled one at a time. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show how this all works. It's pretty awesome. So right now I have a wasmCloud host running. And I'm sorry, I meant to close those videos. I have a wasmCloud host running, and I'm going to go ahead and create 2 different instances of WDAM running. So this one is just going to be running with a host ID of first, so we know where it's coming from. And this is just a proof of concept. It's not doing any actual work right now. Oops. This is what happens when you get a live change on your branch. Let me, I'll just get stash. I is smart developer. Dang it, no, I actually made the change. I'm dumb because I angered the demo gods. Let me just change this back.
I think this one might have actually been my bad. I tried to be a little helpful and be like, yeah, what if you just change this flag? And you're like, great.
I'll blame you, Brooks. Anyway, so now I'm going to push change to that. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and start there. And so it's giving a first. And then I'm going to go ahead and start this one with the ID of second. And I'm tracing like everything that's going on. So we see exactly which topic everything's coming on. And I'll go ahead and I'm just going to start an actor here. Oops, not file. I'm going to go ahead and start the echo actor. Okay, and we've submitted that. And so if we come over here, we'll see in the logs a couple things happened. So first off, we got probably over here first, we got like a start actor event that happened. So we can see it said handle received event, actor started, and then it actually handles the work itself. We see a start actor command that's coming from first. And then over here, we see that there were some other commands that were sent through, and it sent out another command. So the work's in a distributed, but to make it look really cool, I'm going to go ahead and add some space here so we can see where the change happened. Yay for terminal demos. And I'm going to start 10 actors. So we're going to see like basically 9 more actor started events that's going to pass across this. And you'll see that there's definitely not 9 events here. It got split in between these 2 things right here. But you'll also start to see that once it started working, I'll find one. Sometimes it takes a second to find one, but essentially we're going to find one where it says like which ID it came from, and oh, right here, perfect. So we got this handling receive command event right here, and you'll see that the host ID is first. So it came from a command that was issued from the first WDAM process and came over here to the second WDAM process. So essentially we have it set up so it'll completely lock. And this adds up to some really cool features, because if I come over here and I and I go ahead and kill WDAM, I can come back here and say, you know what, I'm going to say 0, like I'm just going to scale it down to 0. I'm basically getting rid of it. So now like WDAM was dead, let's say it had died for some reason, and I come back here and I start it back up, and you're actually going to see, bam, a whole bunch of start actor commands like or stop actor things come through as the events come through. So you'll see like handling received event actor stopped. You'll see a whole bunch of them come through because it stayed in the stream and got persisted and could re-pick up the event. So anyway, that is currently WDAM and where it's at. So just wanted to share that. Any questions? I'm going to pull up the chat here. Any questions from the different chats, Brooks, on the streaming platforms?
I did not see him come through yet, but I am watching.
Okay. That's fine. So anyway, that is the current status of WDAM. We started some real work on it. Okay, none yet from Bailey. Awesome. So we started the work on that. I just wanted to show people we're trying to give a little bit of a status update every week. That lends itself real nice to bleed over into the next topic, which is something new we're trying with our our projects in the wasmCloud repos. So what we have right here is the new GitHub projects. And so for WADM, it's a little bit different because we have a different thing right now that will change use it, and we're focusing on like the 0.4 rewrite and everything. But we have two views where we can see like every single task with like which thing it's on. And in our case, like we grouped it by like stages of work that we're trying to get done. But it also allows us to give us a Kanban view of exactly what's happening, what's done, like things we're waiting for. But I think the better ones are going to be actually to show you what we've tried it out in 2 of our repositories. And if we like it, we're going to roll it out to everything else. And so what we've done is set up inside of each one. We've said the same thing that has all tasks. Everything that's a PR or a bug or a PR or an issue gets added to here automatically. And then it gets put into triage. And so what this does is it helps anyone in the community and us maintainers realize, okay, which things do we need to like figure out? And then we have a discussion status that says like, hey, we started talking about it, but we don't have an exact answer yet. And then we have things that are ready for working are put into to do. And so the goal is that anyone who is working on the repositories and anyone in the community who wants to see them can come over here and say, you know what can I work on? And so they can come in and say, oh, here's 2 different things that they've like triaged and are done and are ready to do. And then if it's in progress, like we can move it in progress when somebody starts work on it and it gets assigned. By default, when I've created these in the repositories, I've added every single issue, even though they might be technically a to-do, so we can go back through and work through this list and say, yeah, this one's ready to go, and we can drag it over. So it gives us a view of everything that's going on. And if you actually go and see these issues, you'll see that it gets like it's assigned to a project. You can actually change the status from here. And then there's all sorts of other things we can do in the future, because we could do like reports and all sorts of things on here. So we can filter by certain stuff. Like in this case, I've sorted by labels and removing any that are in like the done state. So you're able to like go through and see exactly what things are being done. You can also like get these insight things, which is not going to give us much, but it starts to show us like what things are done. And I'm assuming we can modify these. I haven't really configured anything with the charts yet. So anyway, that's what we're currently working on with the projects. We'd love your feedback. If you like it, hate it, like we'd love to hear from you. But if we continue to like this, then we're going to try to roll it out to all of our main projects and check if there's any questions. Link. Yes, Bailey. Let me grab the link to all projects. Projects are technically all independent of repos, but you can link them to repos. So you'll notice that we've linked most of these. So if we go to like the capability providers stuff, like if we go to any of these, we can come in and we can say, oh, hey, like we have projects, you'll see one, and it shows that it's like a linked project for the capability provider. So there you go. Any questions from the audience or the streams?
So Taylor, I'm actually looking at the projects view, and I think that one, I see one, it says wasmCloud roadmap. Oh, I see it now. Not under recently viewed. So if you go under wasmCloud projects, that's in your recently viewed. But if you go down to projects, that's where all of them. Okay.
Let me relink it. Yeah. So like there's things that you like, it looks like we've been playing around with it and whatnot. And you can see like ones that were created by me and all that. So let me relink to like actual projects that'll show it for everybody.
It looks like we had some test ones in there, unless Connor Smith 256's Untitled project is where we put all the secret work.
It's our secret, super secret place, I should say. Anyway. Okay. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful for people. That's like I said, what we're really looking forward to showing off is the WDAM stuff, where we're at, and then the project work we're doing. So like I said, please let us know if people don't like it, we won't use it. If people really like it, we'll keep using it. It just seemed like it was actually gonna be really helpful for everybody to kind of keep track of the state of everything. So with that, I'll pass back to Brooks.
Alrighty, yeah, thank you, Taylor. That was huge. Just gonna re-up that thought that if you have any feedback, good or bad, about the whole project's organization, please feel free to let us know. All right, then I think next on the list, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Roman, who's gonna be talking about the wasmCloud host implementation that he's been working on. Roman, would you mind, I know you probably got a demo and a couple things that you want to talk about. Would you mind just giving an overview, and this might again be in your demo, but just of what this actual project is, like what this whole work is supposed to be encompassing, and then take it from there.
Yeah, sure. So currently in wasmCloud OTP host, we use wasmX library, which is providing the Elixir NIF wrapping wasmTime under the hood. And that works fine, but there are a few very interesting things right now happening from this wasmTime and bytecode alliance work. Different new specs being implemented, and we want to be able to try these things out quickly and provide these as a possibility to use for users. And it's complicated, but using this more general purpose wasmX, which is a great project, but just for our use case, we want to be able to really iterate quickly. And for that, it makes sense for us to have a library which we can use and quickly implement things, and then we have this library directly tailored for wasmCloud usage, rather than just general purpose library. So another thing we also noticed that, for example, there are multiple hosts being written for wasmCloud, and we would want to have also one standardized place which we could all contribute to, one repository, one library we could all share and reuse. That is, we would need to reinvent the wheel n times for each host, right? So that's basically the idea. So just being able to experiment with wasmTime quickly and to have this one shared host for everyone to use. And so what we want to do is it's a Rust library. We're going to provide C bindings for it, and also SDKs for things like maybe Go and things like that. But it's all up to discussion, and maybe we'll see what's the community, how does the community take it, and what is actually necessary. So maybe I can share my screen, Brooks. I don't know if I have permission to do that.
I think you do. I think I did it. I hope.
Oh, okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, that looks good. And I was going to ask you to zoom in one more time, but I think it actually looks good where it's at. Hey, nice.
Okay, so I'll quickly show just kind of the structure for now that I have. It's very simple. For now, what works for now is just the actor execution. Capability providers, what I'm working on right now. So for now, the built-in providers is almost done. So the next step would be to adding the actual existing capability provider support. Have some tests and an example. So maybe let's start with an example. So it already runs echo actor. It's sorry for the delays because the video call and screen sharing. Right. So I'll actually show the example itself. So I have the normal echo actor here, which just handles the request, right, and just echoes it back. I include that as a binary dependency inside my example over here. And so what they do here is that, here's the WASM path, right? It's just normal Rust environment variable. We generate a key pair, sign the module just like you do with wash, right, normally, and just read that module. We use the runtime, the library that's I'm working on right now. Now we can instantiate the actor. So basically, once we preload the module, we can instantiate n times. So it could be done concurrently, for example, as well. So each actor instance gets its own store, and that means that it should be good for performance, right? So we do not need to recompile this WASM module every time we want to instantiate it. We also can, it's designed to be very pluggable and extensible. So you can plug in your own logging implementation or own random number generation implementation if you want to. And this actually, you can see it here. So I have this capability module with different logging and number gen, essentially adapters, right? So for logging, I have, maybe, let's see here. Let's say there's this log crate, which is the normal Rust log crate, right? So there's an adapter for that log crate with the default logging implementation for that. For those who want to use log for logging, but if you want to use tracing, well, you can implement your own. Let's say for the tests, I have a different logger. Here it is, right? So I also implement logger. Again, just implement a simple trait, a simple Rust trait, which is doing some logging. Yeah, so for external community providers, you're going to be able to bring your own, probably just a closure with callback, right? So you can use NATs if you want. If you want to use, you can use something else, right? So it's basically just an SDK for you to be able to build your own host as you wish. We'll probably, as part of this effort, we're going to also have the Rust host, which will be maybe simple just for testing, but maybe it's going to grow into a bigger project. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, also I'll show you maybe like the simple test that I have currently running an actor which does logging and random number generation. And you can see here we have this nice trace with all the calls that the actor has actually done. Yeah, but stay tuned, and it's going to get much more interesting soon, I think. I'll start to file PRs to wasmCloud repository for the POC of this, and then would be glad to get your feedback. Maybe any questions?
Yeah, so Roman, I saw like in that main example, and I know that you're creating this and working through testing and everything. That is this was kind of like an not quite this one. Was this the one that you showed just a second ago, wherever you were creating the echo and instantiating it? Oh, as an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just an example.
Okay, great.
But it goes around, yeah.
Yeah, my real question was just going to be, what does this look like? And I know you said that you're writing this as a library. What kind of functions are you thinking of exposing from the library? Like, what kind of level of abstraction will other hosts be working with?
Right. So it all starts with the runtime. There's a runtime builder, which is a common Rust pattern. You can use the defaults if you want. You can configure it. Maybe set the maximum memory usage and whatnot. so after runtime, there's an actor module. So this is something that you read from disk. Again, like it's using wasmTime under the hood, but it's not exposed to the user. Potentially, this could support different runtimes, right? So it could be using other interpreters or whatnot. So essentially, yeah, so the runtime is the first thing that is kind of shared. It's a long-lived object. Then the actor module, as long as you want to run the same actors, well, you're gonna have to keep that in memory. And then instance is a short-lived kind of just instance of an actor that you can kind of do n, you can scale to n or to 0 as you wish. So these are like this is the core of what this library is going to have, right? That's just what you need to actually execute stuff. So I'll also add capability providers here as well. But we are thinking also about adding, for example, functionality like maybe helping you with nats or just whatever messaging implementation you want to use, right? So like to handle the topics and whatnot. Does that answer your question? Or maybe you can ask a different question.
Yeah, that answers my question, and then I might have a follow-up one as well, because I was really just kind of curious what it would look like if you were, writing your own example or using this library through the CFFI. I guess the other thing I wanted to ask about was around networking, because I know that we've run into a few instances of portability with Rust. Like two of the big things that I can think of when working with Rust is like tying to a specific libc version, or like tying specifically to OpenSSL, or even with Rust TLS, I think that depends on Ring, which can get kind of difficult when it gets to compiling to lower devices or more embedded devices. Anyways, a little bit out of my depth on that one. But I was really curious about if this would just be essentially a wrapper around wasmTime to manage all the wasm operations. And if we were going to be doing any NATS networking, because I think that we could definitely help people get set up with like the right topics and everything. But I can see some difficulties around actually encapsulating that in this library. Did you have some thoughts here? Yeah,
so again, it's basically the idea is that you never have to pay for things you don't use, right? So if you don't use the logging crate, the log crate, right? It's optional. Like it shows here in the right? So like for example, already by default you have these two default features which are the imports, right? The log crate and the rand crate, which are only imported if you actually opt in. Well, by default, it's opt out in a way. But so similarly, we could do also for things like NATS, right? So we could provide, since the provider, it could be just a callback, right? It's all supposed to be extensible. So we could have, for example, a NATS implementation for this external provider, which we could provide, right? It could be, again, configurable, extensible, and yeah, so it would also be like opt-in, right? It would be a feature, kind of feature flag. If you do not want to use it, you don't want to compile it, you don't compile it. But if you do want it, then you could opt into this feature and then have this NATS adapter for capability provider, but which your actor can go to.
Okay, cool. I really like that idea of not really, we're kind of taking a hard stance on what's included in the core library, but adding a little extensibility with features sounds really neat, because that could definitely help some newer implementation.
Yeah, so I can maybe show quickly just a provider, right? It could be just a function, right? A function is, well, this is the provider from the perspective of an actor, right? So because all it gets is the binding namespace operation or some payload, and it just returns some payload. And how you do it, well, it's up to the user of this library, but we can absolutely provide some functionality to help with that, right? So, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, that was, I had some high level stuff, but Roman, this is really awesome. Is the code actually published yet, or is this still kind of just like in a private state where you're working on it?
Yeah, so as I said, so I'm hoping to, maybe not today anymore, maybe tomorrow already, file PR for wasmCloud/wasmCloud repository. yeah, I need to figure out how to scope this nicely so it's smaller chunks which are easy to review. But I would want to have a working at least a Hello actor, right? So and maybe some capability providers as well, or maybe that would be a resource for a second PR. But I'll say tomorrow, watch out for PRs in the wasmCloud and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we've been looking for a little excuse for things to put into that wasmCloud repo for a little while. So looking forward to seeing that. Maybe we can talk about it a little more next week. All right. Anybody else here have questions for Roman on this work? All right. Well, thank you, Roman. That's really awesome. Looking forward to seeing that evolve. I think that's the end of our official agenda for today. Does anybody else have any other questions or general things in the wasmCloud community that they'd like to chat about? All right. Well, I think that we can go ahead and call it for today. A little bit of a shorter community meeting, but really exciting nonetheless. Thanks everybody for coming, and anybody who's tuning in live. Really appreciate you coming by. If anybody is in the Los Angeles area tomorrow and Friday, Taylor and I are actually going to be over there for Scale. And we're going to be doing talks on Friday and Saturday. So please feel free to hit us up in the wasmCloud Slack and we can go get a coffee or a soda or something. Other than that, I'll see you all next week.